Hi, I'm James, and this is my take on reality. In this episode, we're going to be talking about Emily and Kobe from 90 Day Fiance got pregnant on purpose. And I'm going to explain to you why. Let's get it. First, let me give you a little background. When we first met Emily, she held herself out as the wild child. What's a degree? I'd rather hang out with my friends. Now let's keep this in mind. In 2010, she would have been about 18 years old and going into college. On average, the public bachelor degree for colleges was about $6,000 a year. For private universities and college, that same degree was about $34,000 a year. Nobody who's paying for that education looks at those nosebleed level bills and say, hey, maybe I'll study, maybe I'll go to class, or maybe I'll just hang out with my friends. All that would be is a $6,000 to $34,000 a year bar tab. So it begs the question, who do you think was paying for her to go to college? One of the examples that she gave was, go to Thailand for a month? Okay, let's go. China for the summer? Oh, sure. Now, 3 guesses who was footing the bill so that she could go out on these exploits. 2.5 weeks left on her trip is when she met Kobe. Then she stayed an additional couple months, and during that time, that's when they got engaged, and she got pregnant, and then she came home to have the baby. Now, it's no secret that her parents were taking care of Emily, and they were taking care of Kobe as soon as he arrived. And they've been doing this since she got back. Now, according to Emily, she's working part-time as a nanny. Now, anybody familiar with how these K-1 visas work or the 90 Day Fiance franchise, we all understand that in order for you as an American to sign for somebody to come here from another country, you have to be willing to sign an affidavit of support, which basically says that you will be responsible for that person financially for the rest of their lives as long as they live here. Now, through deductive reasoning, it only makes sense to me that the parents are actually the ones who co-sponsored Kobe actually coming into the country, which means that the parents are financially responsible for Kobe for the rest of his life here in this country. That's a huge burden and a huge risk for them to take. Why would they take that risk? I submit to you that Kobe was sold to them under the premise that if Kobe came, it would reunite their family, Kobe, Emily, and Kobe, and he would be able to take over taking care of her, which means that a tremendous weight will be lifted off the parents' shoulders. Why do I think this? Because David, Emily's father, kept pressing to understand what it is Kobe is going to be doing once he got here in the United States. He wanted to understand what job does he have? What does he have lined up? What can he do? How is he going to make money? And he kept hitting those questions. So it kind of lends to the idea that Emily had told him, and it was sold to him, that Kobe was coming to take care of her. So he wants to know, okay, you say he's going to take care of you. How is he going to do that? Or am I going to be stuck taking care of you guys? And to be honest with you, I thought this was all a little weird because they demanded to know and had this expectation for Kobe to know exactly what it was he was going to be doing once he got here and know exactly what career path he was going to take and what he was going to do with his life. And their daughter, who is 30 years old and lived here her whole life, has no idea what she's going to do with the rest of her life. Or does she? During our confessional, Emily had shared a story where she was talking to one of her kindergartner teachers and shared with that person that she was going to be a stay-at-home mom and she was going to take care of all her kids. Now, why is this relevant? Because she brought it up while she's on the 90 Day Fiance franchise show talking about bringing her husband here to the United States. So this is part of Emily's plan. Now, unfortunately for David, I don't think she really cares whether it's David, the mom, the sister, Kobe, a stranger, or a hobo keeping her home and allowing her not to work and take care of her kids and be home with her kids all day. Where are we now? After the wedding, David did a confessional with the 90 Day Fiance folks, and he's standing there talking about, they're about to move out, and he's damn near dancing. Right? He's having a good time, smiles everywhere. He's enjoying life because he thinks that his time is just about over. Now, why would David think that? Because if you listen to the agreement that he had with Emily on tape, where he said, okay, once Kobe gets here, I'm only going to be responsible for you guys for 6 months, and then you're on your own. You're moving out. You're taking care of yourself. Now that's 3 months for the 90 days, and then an additional 3 months for them to get their whole lives together after they get married. And so what he's thinking is, at the time, that he only has 3 more months, and then he's free and clear. Now, Dad was set to retire. And I could see this not being a secret. I can't imagine that he would keep this to himself, that he was planning on retiring and being done work, and him and his wife were going to travel around. So I'm sure that when Emily came to him and presented the idea of bringing Kobe here, that the entire concept of him retiring from his job was one of the things that he brought up. And in fact, she probably switched it around, because watching Emily work, the way she probably switched it around was, that's why I need Kobe here, because if he's here, then that's 2 adults helping with the baby, and I can do it, and you guys can go do your thing. Now, just judging by his reaction to things, retirement, at least the feeling I got, was for him, retirement didn't just mean stop working. What it was he was going to have the opportunity to be able to spend time with his wife and reconnect with his wife. And there were going to be 2 people who are a couple now, not mom and dad, but they're going to be husband and wife. And they were going to travel and do things together because, they're older now and they don't know how much longer they have together. So this time is very important to them. And I could see that. I laid all that groundwork to establish that up to and including the time that Emily was in college, and then after college when she went to Thailand and China and met Kobe and got pregnant and everything happened with that, to today, Emily is extremely secure in being taken care of by her father. She's very comfortable with it, which also brings up the idea that when Kobe was talking about going to Ohio, to a place where he said there's a Cameroon community, they can help him get a place, they can help him get a job, he would be able to take care of her and the baby and this, that, and the other, and he'd be able to do things and fulfill the promise that they made to her father, that she was dead set against it. How are you going to be dead set against it? You guys have to leave, right? Or wrong? Now, with all that said, it always kind of struck me weird as to how she got pregnant. I mean, let's keep in mind with the players. She's 29 years old. Kobe is literally a stone's throw away from being middle-aged. And these 2 people decided to engage in an activity in such a way that it would only make sense that they would make this mistake if they were high school students who fell asleep during sex ed. Like, they already have a child, so they know that the impossible can happen to them. It's not like they're living in an existence where they don't know anybody who's gotten pregnant and they were just doing this thing and they heard this thing about this phone app that makes everything okay. She got pregnant already. At first, Kobe didn't want me to get on birth control, and he was pulling out the troops. And then she told him to go ahead and butter the bagel. Now, the big question is, why would she do that? Because by getting pregnant, she gets to stay in the father's home. She gets to take advantage of them one more time. Now, thinking about what's going on, I'm sure he was like dropping off apartment brochures on a pillow and job applications and stuff, McDonald's, Burger King, wherever. I don't care where you work, but y'all need to get your job so you can get the heck up out of here. And so therefore, she knew that the time was coming, and it makes sense that she might want to try to put a delay in the works. A normal human being might think that, okay, that makes sense, because if a person finds out that you're about to have another baby, which is basically another bill, another expense, that you might want to save that money, and it will probably be better used, not to buy a ring and a dress and a hall and a big wedding and all this other stuff, but we might do better to save that money, put it aside so that way we'll be able to take care of the baby. But the thing is, even after the wedding was done, Emily refused to tell her parents. In fact, she didn't want to tell her parents. Out of her words, she didn't want to tell her parents until her parents could figure out that she was pregnant. Now, if Emily would have came to the father and said, hey, me and Kobe got knocked up 10 weeks ago, then the father could have looked her right in the face and said, you know what? You guys are either out of here Or we could send Kobe back to Africa and I can go ahead and help you take care of this baby, buddy, up until the time you can get on your feet, but you'll be out of here in a year and a half. But nobody is kicking out somebody who is visibly showing to be pregnant. And I think that that was her way of further manipulating the situation. Because if the father and the mother realize that she's pregnant, they're less likely to kick her out. And this would also explain why she never took the news serious. When she had told the parents and everybody was upset, and clearly the father was like about to lose his mind, because he couldn't believe what he was hearing. The mother looked like she was about to cry. And to be honest with you, even during the interviews and the confessional, she looked like she aged about 10 years. And then later, when he tried to tell her that you guys have to figure it out, you have to get an apartment, you have to figure out how you're going to take care of these 2 kids. She's looked at, yeah, Dad, yeah, we know, Dad, we know. Well, if you know so much, why are you pregnant again? And that was her way of saying, yeah, Dad, we aren't going anywhere. Now, through all this, what did Kobe have to say? Kobe said, well, we've been through a lot in the last 90 days, and I don't think there's anything we can't handle. Well, apparently you can't handle a bill. Apparently you can't handle having relations with your fiance, now wife, without making her pregnant. How about you handle that? And what does it mean, what we've been through? What have you been through? Apparently you haven't been through a checkbook. And bruv, I gotta tell you, your hellscape has just begun. Because your wife literally looked her parents in the face and lied to her for 10 weeks about her situation. Something that she knew would impact them. Something that she knew that she had a whole conversation with her parents about not getting pregnant before she got here. And she went ahead and did it anyway. And then she tried to hide it. And then not only did she try to hide it, but she tried to employ you to hide it from her parents as well. Which means that when something happens, you can't trust that she's going to come forward and tell you the truth. This is a problem. This is a huge problem. And it also shows a big thing because it shows how deceitful she can be. Now, if she can be open and honest about being deceitful when it comes to not telling the parents that she's pregnant and hiding that lie and hiding that story, I ask you, why can't she be deceitful enough to do something so that she can stay in the place where she wants to stay? She doesn't want to move. She doesn't want to go anywhere. She wants to stay home and take care of her baby and live off the parents. So if she would lie about a pregnancy, you don't think she would intentionally get pregnant? I'm just saying. Hey, I'm James. That's my take on reality. If you guys agree or disagree, please leave your takes down below. Please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. And I'm out. 'Cause I've been living life right like I